In the shadowy opulence of a billionaire's mansion, a tiny heir teeters on the brink of death, his breaths fading into silence. But when the devoted black nanny discovers him lifeless in his crib, her instincts ignite a desperate race against time, performing life-saving CPR with trembling hands. What dark secret lurks behind this near tragedy, and will her heroism unravel a web of betrayal? In the sprawling hills of upscale California, where mansions perched like crowns on the landscape, stood the estate of Elias Hawthorne, a name synonymous with ruthless ambition and unimaginable wealth. Elias had built his empire from the ground up, starting with a small tech startup that ballooned into a multinational conglomerate dealing in everything from AI innovations to luxury real estate. At 45, he was the epitome of success, sharp-suited, silver-tongued, and always one step ahead of his competitors. His days were a whirlwind of board meetings, high-stakes negotiations, and private jet flights to exotic locales for deals that could make or break fortunes. But beneath the polished exterior, Elias carried the weight of isolation. His relentless drive had left little room for personal connections, turning his home into more of a showcase than a sanctuary. Elias's wife, Victoria Hawthorne, was a vision of elegance and poise, a former model who had traded the runway for the role of a socialite trophy wife. At 38, she glided through life with the grace of someone born into privilege, though her background was far humbler, a fact she buried deep under layers of designer gowns and diamond jewelry. Victoria's calendar was packed with charity galas, spa retreats, and luncheons with influential friends, all curated to maintain the family's impeccable public image. She adored the perks of their lifestyle, the yacht parties, the exclusive vacations, and the envy in others' eyes. Yet, when it came to their infant son, little Julian Hawthorne, her affection seemed more performative than profound. She doted on him in photos for social media, but the day-to-day realities of motherhood were delegated to others, leaving her free to chase the next thrill or networking opportunity. Baby Julian, just 9 months old, was the unexpected heir to this glittering dynasty. Born amid fanfare and headlines proclaiming, "The Hawthorne legacy continues," he was a cherubic bundle with wide blue eyes, soft curls, and a laugh that could melt even the coldest hearts. Julian's nursery was a masterpiece of luxury, walls adorned with hand-painted murals of enchanted forests, a crib crafted from rare woods, and toys imported from artisanal workshops in Europe. He spent his days gurgling happily, oblivious to the fortunes tied to his tiny name. But in the quiet moments, when the house staff bustled around him, there was a fragility to his existence, a reminder that even in a world of excess, life could be as delicate as a whisper. Enter Aisha Thompson, the 34-year-old black maid who had been hired as the family's live-in nanny 6 months prior. Aisha came from a modest background in Atlanta, where she had worked her way through community college while raising her younger siblings after their parents' untimely passing. Her skin glowed with a warm mahogany tone. Her eyes held a depth of quiet wisdom, and her smile could light up the dimmest room. She wasn't just any nanny. Aisha had a natural gift for caregiving, honed from years in childcare roles for affluent families. But this job was different. Higher stakes, longer hours, and a salary that finally allowed her to send money back home. Dressed in her crisp uniform, she moved through the mansion with efficiency and grace, tending to Julian's every need, feeding him organic purees, singing lullabies in her rich melodic voice, and rocking him through fussy afternoons. What the Hawthornes didn't know was that Aisha carried her own scars. She had lost a child of her own years ago to a sudden illness, a pain that never fully healed, but instead fueled her fierce protectiveness over the babies in her care. The Hawthorne estate itself was a character in this unfolding drama. 20,000-square-foot marvel of modern architecture, with marble floors that echoed underfoot, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens, and a staff of butlers, chefs, and gardeners who kept the illusion of perfection intact. Security cameras watched every corner, and smart systems controlled the lights, temperature, and even the music that played softly in the background. Yet, for all its grandeur, the house felt hollow at times, like a beautiful shell hiding the cracks beneath. Elias and Victoria's marriage, once passionate, had cooled into a partnership of convenience, with arguments simmering over neglected anniversaries and unspoken resentments. Julian's arrival had been meant to bridge that gap, but instead it highlighted their detachment, leaving Aisha as the unspoken glue holding the family's fragile core together. As the sun dipped low on a crisp autumn evening, the estate buzzed with its usual rhythm. The chef preparing a gourmet dinner in the industrial kitchen, the gardener trimming hedges under floodlights, and Aisha in the nursery, gently bouncing Julian on her knee, She whispered stories to him about far-off adventures, her voice a soothing balm against the distant hum of Elias's conference call echoing from his home office. Little did anyone know, shadows were gathering, subtle at first, like the faint chill in the air signaling an approaching storm. Whispers among the staff hinted at rival business tycoons eyeing Elias's latest merger, a deal worth billions that could topple empires. And in the nursery's golden glow, Aisha felt an inexplicable pull toward Julian, as if fate had placed her there for a reason far greater than changing diapers or warming bottles. The stage was set, the players in position, and the night that would change everything was about to unfold. The mansion's opulence extended beyond the visible. Underground, a state-of-the-art wine cellar housed vintages worth more than most people's homes, and a private theater screened films before their public release. Elias often retreated to his study, a room lined with leather-bound books he rarely read, staring at stock tickers on multiple screens. Victoria, meanwhile, spent evenings in her personal salon, where stylists and makeup artists prepared her for the social circuit. Julian's world was confined to the upper floors, where Aisha created a bubble of warmth amid the cold luxury. She had decorated a corner of the nursery with handmade crafts from her hometown, small touches of humanity in a sea of extravagance. Aisha's journey to the Hawthorne estate hadn't been easy. After losing her child, she had spiraled into grief, taking low-paying jobs to survive. But a recommendation from a previous employer landed her this position, and she vowed to pour her heart into it. Elias had interviewed her briefly, impressed by her credentials but barely glancing at her resume. Victoria had been more thorough, asking about dietary preferences and sleep training methods, but her questions felt detached, like checking boxes on a form. From day one, Aisha bonded with Julian, his tiny fingers wrapping around hers in a way that healed old wounds. The staff respected her. The butler, an elderly man named Harold, often shared coffee breaks with her, gossiping about the family's quirks. As days turned into weeks, Aisha noticed the undercurrents of tension. Elias's phone calls grew heated, mentions of corporate espionage slipping into conversations. Victoria's smiles seemed forced, her laughter echoing hollowly through the halls. Julian, blissfully unaware, became Aisha's anchor, his coos and smiles reminding her of life's simple joys. The estate's grounds included a private lake, where swans glided gracefully, and a helipad for quick escapes to the city. Security was tight, with guards patrolling and biometric locks on every door. Yet vulnerability lurked in the delivery of packages, the comings and goings of assistants, and the blind trust placed in those who served. Foreshadowing the drama ahead, Aisha once overheard Victoria on the phone, her voice sharp. "That formula better be perfect. I don't want any issues with the baby." It seemed innocuous at the time, a mother's concern. Elias, too, had his moments of tenderness, peeking into the nursery late at night, his face softening at the sight of his son. But these glimpses were rare, swallowed by the demands of empire building. Aisha, ever vigilant, kept a journal of Julian's routines, noting every feed and nap, her maternal instincts sharpened by loss. The autumn leaves began to fall, carpeting the driveway in gold and red, as if nature itself was painting a warning of change. In this world of wealth, where money could buy anything except true security, the first cracks were about to appear, threatening to shatter the facade forever. Aisha's days at the Hawthorne estate began before dawn, with the soft chime of her alarm pulling her from sleep in her modest quarters on the lower level. She would rise, splash water on her face, and slip into her uniform, a simple black dress with a white apron that contrasted sharply with the mansion's lavish decor. By 6 a.m., she was in the kitchen, preparing Julian's first bottle of the day, warming it precisely to body temperature under the watchful eye of the chef, who grumbled about extra duties, but secretly admired her dedication. The kitchen was a hub of activity, stainless steel gleaming under pendant lights, with aromas of fresh bread and coffee filling the air. Aisha moved with quiet efficiency, her footsteps light on the tiled floor, as she gathered organic fruits for purees and checked the stock of diapers and wipes. Upstairs in the nursery, Julian stirred as the first rays of sunlight filtered through silk curtains. Aisha would scoop him up, his warm body nestling against her chest, and whisper good morning in a voice laced with affection. Changing him on the padded table, she marveled at his growth. How his legs kicked stronger now, his eyes following her every move with curiosity. Breakfast followed, spooning mashed bananas into his eager mouth, wiping dribbles from his chin with a soft cloth. Julian's giggles echoed like music, a stark contrast to the silence that often blanketed the rest of the house. Aisha's bond with him deepened with each routine. She saw echoes of her lost child in his innocent gaze, a second chance to nurture and protect. Mid-morning brought playtime, where Aisha transformed the nursery into a wonderland. She laid out colorful mats, scattering toys that stimulated his senses, rattles that jingled, blocks that stacked, and soft books with crinkly pages. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, she encouraged Julian to crawl, her hands guiding him gently. "Come on, little one, you can do it," she'd coo, her laughter mingling with his as he toppled over in delight. These moments were sacred, uninterrupted by the Hawthorns, who were often out or occupied. Elias might breeze through for a quick peek, ruffling Julian's hair before vanishing to his office, while Victoria sent instructions via text. Make sure he wears the blue onesie for the photo shoot later. Lunch was a ritual of care, with Aisha blending vegetables into smooth soups, ensuring every bite was nutritious. She fed Julian in the high chair, singing songs from her childhood, lullabies in a melodic tone that soothed him instantly. Naptime followed, rocking him in the glider chair, her arms a safe haven as his eyelids drooped. As he slept, Aisha tidied the room, folding tiny clothes and organizing shelves, her thoughts drifting to her own family back in Atlanta. She sent photos of Julian to her siblings, captioning them with pride, though she never revealed the opulence surrounding him. Her attachment grew like vines, wrapping around her heart. Julian wasn't just a job, he was her purpose, filling the void left by tragedy. Afternoons varied with outings to the estate's gardens, where Aisha pushed Julian in a stroller along winding paths lined with roses and fountains. The fresh air invigorated him, his chubby hands reaching for butterflies. She pointed out birds and flowers, teaching him words in a gentle voice. "Look, Julian, that's a red rose, pretty like your mama's dresses." Back inside, bath time was a splashy affair, bubbles foaming in the marble tub as Julian kicked water everywhere. Aisha wrapped him in fluffy towels, drying his curls with care, her touch tender and reassuring. Dinner prep mirrored breakfast, with evening feeds under soft lighting, Julian's eyes locking onto hers in trust. Evenings wound down with story time, Aisha reading from picture books, her voice animating characters with flair. Julian nestled in her lap, thumb in mouth, as she turned pages slowly. Bedtime routines included dimming lights and playing white noise, tucking him into the crib with a kiss on his forehead. "Sleep tight, my angel," she'd whisper, lingering by the door to watch his chest rise and fall. Her growing attachment manifested in small acts, sewing a quilt from scraps, humming tunes that calmed his cries faster than any gadget. Contrasting this, the Hawthorns' distance was palpable. Elias buried in work, Victoria in social whirlwinds, their interactions with Julian brief and superficial. Isha's backstory wove into her routines. Orphaned young, she had mothered her siblings through hardships, learning resilience and empathy. This job, though demanding, offered stability, but it was Julian who healed her. She confided in Harold the butler during breaks, sharing worries about the family's detachment. "They have everything, but they miss the best part," she'd say. Harold nodded, recalling past nannies who burned out. Yet Aisha thrived, her patience infinite, her love genuine. As weeks passed, subtle changes emerged, Julian reaching for her first, his cries quieting only in her arms. This bond, unbreakable, set the stage for the trials ahead, where her devotion would be tested beyond measure. The parents' lifestyle amplified the contrast. Elias's late nights in the city, Victoria's trips to fashion weeks, leaving Aisha as Julian's constant. She adapted, creating schedules that prioritized his well-being, even advocating for organic products during staff meetings. Her heart swelled with each milestone, first tooth, first word attempt, documented in her journal with joy. This attachment wasn't just professional, it was maternal, a redemption for her past loss. In the quiet mansion, amid echoing halls, Aisha and Julian formed a world of their own, warm and unbreakable, as shadows of danger loomed unseen. Subtle hints began creeping into Julian's days, like whispers in the wind that Aisha couldn't ignore. It started with his feeding. One morning, as she spooned puree into his mouth, he fussed more than usual, turning his head away with a whimper. Aisha checked the temperature, tasted it herself. Nothing amiss. "What's wrong, baby?" she murmured, stroking his cheek. He ate eventually, but his energy seemed dimmed, his usual kicks weaker during playtime. She noted it in her journal, attributing it to teething, but a nagging doubt lingered in her gut, born from years of intuition. By afternoon, Julian's cheeks flushed slightly, not with fever but an unusual pallor beneath. During their garden stroll, he didn't reach for leaves as eagerly, his eyes glazing over. Aisha felt his forehead, cool, yet something felt off. Back in the nursery, she monitored him closely, canceling a planned photo session Victoria had scheduled. When the lady of the house texted, inquiring why, Aisha replied honestly, "He's a bit off today, ma'am. Better to rest." Victoria's response was curt. "Fine, but make sure he's camera ready tomorrow." Elias, informed via email, dismissed it. "Kids get fussy. Keep an eye." The next day brought more signs. Julian's breaths came quicker during nap, shallow huffs that alarmed Aisha. She placed a hand on his chest, counting rises, faster than normal. No cough, no rash, but his skin felt clammy. She consulted the family pediatrician over the phone, describing symptoms. "Could be a mild bug," the doctor said. "Monitor and call if it worsens." Aisha did, staying by his crib longer, her own sleep sacrificed. Staff noticed too. Harold commented, "The little one's not himself," offering to fetch remedies. The chef suggested herbal teas, but Aisha stuck to protocols, wary of anything new. Victoria brushed off concerns during a rare visit to the nursery, cooing at Julian briefly before leaving for a luncheon. "He's fine, Aisha. Don't overreact." But Aisha's suspicions grew. She recalled a new formula introduced days prior, ordered by Victoria's assistant. It arrived unsealed, which struck her as odd, but she used it as instructed. Now, linking it to Julian's unease, she sampled it discreetly. Tasted fine, yet doubt festered. Elias, in a meeting, waved away her report. "If the doc says okay, it's okay." Nights amplified the trouble. Julian woke crying, inconsolable until Aisha rocked him for hours. His lips tinged blue briefly, vanishing when she checked again. Heart pounding, she researched symptoms online during breaks. Possible allergies, or worse. Sharing with Harold, he confided staff rumors. Tensions in Elias's business, rivals making threats. Nothing to do with the baby, though, he assured. Aisha wasn't convinced. Her protective instincts flared, watching deliveries closely, questioning the assistant about the formula's origin. Dismissals piled up. Victoria accused Aisha of paranoia when she suggested testing the formula. "It's premium, imported. Stop fussing." Elias, distracted by deals, agreed. "Focus on your job." But Aisha persisted quietly, documenting every anomaly. Irregular heartbeats during feeds, lethargy after meals. The mansion's opulence mocked her worries, crystal chandeliers twinkling indifferently. Yet, in quiet moments, Julian's tiny hand in hers fueled her resolve. Signs mounted, a rash fading quickly, unexplained vomit. Aisha's growing suspicions turned to quiet investigations, sniffing bottles, noting access logs. The family remained oblivious, their distance blinding them to the brewing storm. Thunder rumbled outside as night enveloped the estate, rain lashing against windows like accusations. Aisha had just settled Julian after a restless evening, his whimpers echoing her unease. The Hawthorns were out, Elias at a merger dinner, Victoria at a gala, leaving the mansion ghostly quiet save for the storm. Aisha hummed a lullaby, tucking the blanket around Julian's small form, his breaths uneven but steady. "Good night, my love," she whispered, dimming the lamp. She lingered in the adjoining room, monitor in hand, her heart heavy with unspoken fears. Minutes ticked by, the clock's glow mocking the silence. Then the monitor crackled. Nothing. Aisha froze, straining to hear the familiar rhythm. Panic surged as she rushed to the crib. Julian lay still, chest unmoving, lips bluish in the faint light. "No, God, no!" she gasped, scooping him up. His body limp, no cry, no movement. Instinct overrode terror. Memories of CPR training from years ago flooded back, sharpened by her personal loss. She laid him on the soft rug, tilting his head, checking his airway. Clear. With trembling hands, she placed 2 fingers on his sternum, beginning compressions. Gentle. Rhythmic. 1, 2, 3. "Breathe, baby, please," she pleaded, tears blurring her vision. After 30 compressions, she pinched his nose, sealing her mouth over his for 2 tiny puffs. His chest rose slightly, but no response. Repeat, compressions, breaths, the cycle endless in the storm's roar. Seconds stretched eternally. Aisha's mind raced. Poison? The formula? But focus held. Save him now. Sweat beaded on her forehead, arms aching, but she persisted. "Don't leave me, Julian, fight!" A faint gasp, raspy, weak. Relief crashed over her as his chest fluttered. She lifted him, cradling close, his whimpers music to her ears. "That's it, stay with me." But breaths remained shallow, heartbeat erratic. Grabbing the monitor, she hit emergency. "Help! Baby not breathing right. Call 911!" Downstairs alarms blared. The security guard dialed frantically. Sirens wailed soon after, lights piercing the rain. Aisha descended the grand staircase, Julian clutched tight, refusing to release him. Paramedics burst in, assessing quickly. He stopped breathing. I did CPR, Aisha explained, voice steady despite chaos. The lead medic nodded, impressed. You saved him? Ma'am. They loaded Julian into the ambulance. Aisha insisting on riding along, her uniform soaked. Determination unyielding. At the hospital, chaos reigned. Doctors swarming, machines beeping. Aisha paced the waiting room, praying silently, her mind replaying the horror. Elias arrived disheveled, demanding answers. He stopped breathing. I revived him, Aisha said. Gratitude flickered in his eyes amid fear. A doctor emerged. Stable now, but close call. Your nanny's quick action saved him. Whispers of tests revealed traces, poison. Aisha's suspicions confirmed, but she held back, focusing on Julian's recovery. The night etched in her soul, her heroic act a beacon in darkness. The incident's aftermath lingered. Aisha replayed every detail, her bond with Julian ironclad. She had picked him up, acted without hesitation, defying death's grasp. In that moment, she wasn't just a maid. She was his guardian, his savior. The ambulance tore through rain-slicked streets, sirens wailing like banshees in the night. Aisha sat beside Julian's stretcher, holding his tiny hand, whispering encouragements as paramedics monitored vitals. Hang in there, baby, she urged, her voice cutting through the engine's roar. The driver navigated twists expertly, arriving at the elite pediatric ER in record time. Doors flew open. Medics rushed Julian inside, Aisha trailing, her pleas to stay with him granted amid the frenzy. In the sterile hall, doctors hooked Julian to machines, IVs dripping, monitors beeping steadily. Aisha relayed symptoms precisely. The sudden stop, CPR details, prior unease. A kind nurse offered her a chair, but she stood vigilant, eyes fixed on the glass partition. Hours blurred. Blood drawn, scans ordered. Elias burst in, soaked and frantic. Where's my son? Aisha explained calmly, her poise steadying him. Victoria arrived later, makeup streaked, collapsing into Elias's arms. The lead doctor, a seasoned pediatrician, emerged with updates. He's stable, breathing on his own. Your nanny's CPR was textbook, saved crucial minutes. Gratitude washed over Elias. He turned to Aisha. Thank you. But the doctor's face darkened. Preliminary tests show anomalies in his blood. Traces of a toxin, possibly cyanide. We need more analysis, shock rippled. Poisoning? Aisha's heart sank, recalling the unsealed formula. She murmured to Elias, the new milk powder. It arrived open. Revelations unfolded in hushed tones. Police notified, samples sent to labs. Aisha pieced memories. Assistant's delivery, Victoria's insistence. Elias paced, rage building. Who would target a baby? Victoria wept. Our enemies? Initial suspicions pointed inward, staff access limited. Aisha stayed by Julian's bedside as he stirred, her touch calming him. Dawn broke, casting light on the horror. The family united in fear. Aisha's role pivotal in uncovering truths. Back at the mansion, Dawn's light pierced the gloom as police tape cordoned areas. Detectives swarmed, fingerprinting surfaces, bagging the formula tin. Aisha, exhausted but resolute, guided them. This arrived unsealed. Only a few handled it. Elias, face etched with fury, demanded answers. Interrogate everyone. Victoria, pale and withdrawn, clutched a tissue. It can't be internal. Questioning commenced in the dining room. Staff lined up. The assistant, Mia, fidgeted. It was a gift from a wellness firm. Mrs. Hawthorne approved. Victoria nodded. For Julian's health. Aisha interjected, but unsealed. Odd for premium. Detectives noted discrepancies, checking alibis. Harold the butler vouched for Aisha. She'd never harm the boy. Labs confirmed, cyanide laced in powder. Elias roared, find the source! Deeper probes revealed business ties. Elias's rival, a cutthroat CEO, had motive. Sabotage the merger. Mia's phone records showed suspicious calls. She cracked under pressure. I was paid to deliver it. Didn't know it was poisoned. Arrest followed, but threads led outward. Aisha, piecing clues, recalled overheard threats. Police raided the rivals' offices, uncovering payments. The mansion buzzed with revelations. Aisha's insights key. Justice edged closer, her vigilance exposing the web of greed threatening innocence. As investigations deepened, twists emerged. Mia's confession implicated Victoria's distant cousin, envious of the wealth. Family secrets unraveled. Elias's affair, Victoria's hidden debts. Aisha uncovered a forged receipt, tying it to the rival's aid. Betrayals stung. A trusted guard admitted tampering for cash. Motives intertwined. Business sabotage masking personal vendettas. Aisha's role grew, her testimony crucial in court prep. Emotional fallout hit hard, but truth prevailed, strengthening bonds forged in crisis. Confrontation peaked in a tense boardroom sting. The rival confessed, arrested amid flashing cameras. Justice served, the family exhaled. Aisha, hailed a hero, received promotions and gratitude. Julian thrived, the estate warmer. Peace returned, lessons learned in love over luxury.